Hey guys, this is Jen.
And I'm Amanda.
And this is Two Girls Listening Podcast. And this is our third episode.
I get so excited when we record. Like I'm about to have sex or something. Maybe because I haven't had sex in 13 months. This is replacing that. This is my adrenaline rush now.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that makes sense.
I'm so excited. Episode 3.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Just not the same way. Okay. So, Amanda, how is Sober October going?
I'm halfway there.
Ooh.
We're halfway through the month.
Yay.
Yeah, it's going good. It's some days it's easy and some days I'm like, oh my God, I want a beer. Like if football's on, like when we were with your dad the other day having lunch and football was on and your dad was drinking a beer. I was like, I want a beer.
Yeah, we were at a pub, so I guess that wasn't probably the best place for lunch for you.
But it was still fun. Like I still had a good time without alcohol.
Good.
So yeah, it's going good. I'm working out more, meditating.
That's awesome.
I'm replacing it with healthy activities. So yeah, I can't complain. Going great.
Sounds wonderful then.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you should be doing.
How's the wedding planning going? We're down to the final crunch time.
It's going great. Yeah, 32 days.
Whoop, whoop.
Getting married down in Savannah. So getting everything together. This week, my current focus is the rehearsal dinner dress.
Okay.
Because I love fashion and dresses have always been just my favorite thing in the world. So I don't know. I've been reading up on, fall rehearsal dinners versus just rehearsal dinner dresses in general.
Yeah.
Some of them say wear white. Some of them say to wear blush. Some of them say anything goes. So
might be a good Twitter poll for our listeners.
Yeah. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm open to suggestions. So fall wedding, rehearsal dinner wear. It's a fairly formal restaurant where we're having the rehearsal.
What's the weather like in Savannah in November?
It should be in the 70s. It should be nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be nice. And we're doing the actual rehearsal in Forsyth Park. So that'll be lovely.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I've never been to Savannah.
I know you're going to have a great time.
I'm excited to see a new city.
It's beautiful. Savannah is a gorgeous city.
That's what I've always heard.
So much history and ghosts.
I know. I would love to do a ghost tour.
I wonder if we'll have time.
I know.
That would be great.
Probably not enough time.
No, probably not.
Be too hungover Sunday.
Very true. Open bar. So yeah, just looking at dresses and fabrics. Fabrics are my favorite, but and shoes. So, I might be dragging you to the mall sometime in the next week or two.
I'm your girl. Whatever you need.
Yep. So good times. Anyway, yeah. So
today we have got a question from one of our listeners. And then we've got a story submission and a caller around rideshare, some crazy rideshare stories.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Want to do the question first, like we usually do?
Sure, definitely.
All right, we'll keep up with tradition we got going here. Do the question first. All right, guys, so we have a question from Blake in Georgia. This is Blake, and I have a question for you may be able to use on your podcast. Here's the situation. My daughter, who is a senior in college, brought home a new boyfriend. Now, let me preface the rest of this with, I'm not that dad, he says in parentheses.
Sure.
I'm really not. She's had plenty of boyfriends that I've liked just fine, but not this most recent one. And the only leg of dislike I have to stand on is I get this feeling that he's a little more misogynistic than he's letting on. He hasn't done or said anything overtly, but I can't shake this feeling. I raised my daughter to be strong and independent, maybe even taking that to an extreme. For example, one time when she skinned her knee and was crying, I instinctively picked her up, something I later made a point to let her do herself. While I was brushing her off, I said, "Hey, quit that. What are you, a little boy?" I'm not sure why I used those words, except I knew that her entire life she would be getting the message from society that she was somehow weaker because she was a girl. I think I was trying to act as a counterbalance to those sorts of messages. Anyway, back to this guy and my question. I have not expressed my concern or general dislike for this new guy. While I have decided to trust her instincts and say nothing about this yet, what do I do when she asks me what I think about him?
Ooh, that's hard.
I feel like when you tell a kid not to do something, they want it even more.
Right.
So you got to act like you're okay with it or they're going to want it even more.
True, but it sounds like they have a really good relationship,
Yeah.
so she might really value his opinion.
I mean, the fact that he's asking means he's a really good dad.
Of course, yeah, he sounds like a
That
very
he cares
caring.
this much to even get a female's perspective on it. I wonder what the guy did, or he said the guy didn't do anything.
Just seems like an instinct, which
instinct.
a lot of the time instinct is correct.
And the boyfriend could be putting on a good front in front of the dad, of
Right.
course, sucking up.
Right, who doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the only thing he can do right now is wait and see, just gather more information and see how he acts, see if his daughter's happy.
See if anything changes in her behavior.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. If she did ask her dad what she thinks of the boyfriend, he could say, you know, so far I haven't seen anything bad, but I'd like to keep getting to know him and make sure he's right for you.
Yeah, maybe keep it vague.
Yeah. You know, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and spend more time with him. I mean, he's your daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Find more ways for you to all be together so you can get a better feel for him. And
yeah, because if he is a misogynist, it's going to come out eventually.
Right. You can't hide that forever.
Exactly. So, yeah, I would. If she does ask, I would just say, you know, I haven't seen anything bad yet, but I want to keep getting to know him and make sure he's a good fit for you.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, Amanda. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Just give it some time.
Yep. Time will tell.
Yeah, people always show their true colors. Just give them time.
But like you said, definitely trust that instinct because it's
That
there
too.
for a reason.
It is, right? Yeah, the way you feel about somebody is usually for a reason. So,
yeah. Well, that's a great question, Blake.
yeah, thank you, Blake. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening and thank you for submitting.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate you. All right, so now we have a story that was submitted to us by DM. It's a crazy rideshare experience story that goes along with today's theme. It was submitted to us by Mary Beth from Atlanta. Thank you, Mary Beth. I went out for New Year's Eve with my sister and her friends, and we were in downtown Atlanta, and we went to a little club to see a concert that was going to start at midnight. We pre-gamed at my sister's apartment, and I almost had a whole bottle of champagne by myself before we even went out.
That's how you kick off New Year's Eve.
Right. Then once we got to the club, one of our friends was buying me shots of tequila and mixed drinks that also included tequila. I got absolutely trashed before the concert even started. So my sister had to take us and get a ride share to take us back to her apartment. I was probably the drunkest that I've ever been. I couldn't even see straight. All of a sudden, in the middle of our ride home, I knew I was going to puke. I frantically tried to find the button to open my window, but was not able to locate it in time.
Oh, no.
I know. I vomited all over the inside of the window and down the side of the door. The driver was understandably furious, and he kicked us out in the middle of the road. We were going to walk the rest of the way, but our GPS told us that it would take an hour to get back to her apartment, and we were way too drunk, and it was very cold outside. Plus, I was vomiting in random shrubbery along the way. Poor girl. We finally called a taxi company to take us the rest of the way home, and I was luckily able to keep myself from getting sick again until we got back to her place. The worst part was that it wasn't even under my own rideshare account, so my sister had to deal with the fallout. She was extremely mad, and I have never had that much to drink again in one night ever. Oh, Mary Beth.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had those crazy nights. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. And that poor Uber driver or Lyft driver or whoever it was.
Right. Poor driver.
Yeah.
And our poor sister. Thanks for sharing your story. But that does bring us to Amanda's stories because, Amanda, you were a rideshare driver, weren't you?
Oh, my gosh. For a year and a half in Nashville, Bachelorette party capital of the world.
Oh, my gosh. Did anybody ever puke in your car?
Came close twice. So, you know Santa's Pub?
Mm-hmm.
So for those listeners not familiar with Nashville, we have this old trailer turned into a bar called Santa's Pub, and it's decorated like Christmas year round. And it's become a huge tourist attraction with the growth of Nashville. So I picked up a lot of passengers there, and I pick up two girls and some much older dude with them one night. It was kind of weird. I was like, what's going on? Is this like a threesome situation? Like, it was kind of weird. The way he was presenting himself and acting, it was like he was their pimp or their manager. I don't know. I couldn't figure out the scenario.
Oh, wow.
It was weird. So one of the girls kept saying, oh, everyone just wanted my autograph. I was so tired of signing autographs. And I'm thinking, huh? Who is this chick?
Right.
And their hotel was very far out. It was like way out past Cool Springs, almost to Spring Hill.
Oh, wow.
Like 35, 40 minutes south of Nashville.
Right.
So I'm thinking, what in the world? And so we're on the interstate, and I hear the girl say, I'm going to be sick. And I said, oh, do you need me to pull over? And she goes, oh, no, honey. I'm talking about my sinuses. I'm famous. I don't puke. And
is that how that works?
And I'm thinking, then why are you in a Holiday Inn 40 minutes outside of Nashville if you're famous? So like, why aren't you in the Omni or, know, the Westin? Or I think that's before they built the Westin.
She's just so famous, she couldn't be recognized.
So I'm dying to know who this chick is. And I didn't know the polite way to ask. Like,
right.
I didn't know what to say. Like, what would I know you from? Like, I didn't want to be rude or intrusive. I'm the driver. You got to, I just kept to myself and didn't say anything. And so we pull up to their hotel, and, it's lit under the awning. Mm-hmm. And so I turn around to say bye to them, but I'm really turning around to get a good look at this girl.
Right.
And no clue who she was. She was very unattractive.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what? No, it's still to this day bugging me. Like, what was she famous for? Why did people ask for her autograph? Because the older man with them was creepy as fuck. Like, it was like a weird, like you could tell he had control over the two girls. It was weird. It was really weird.
It's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out the dynamic or who these people were. Yeah.
It's a mystery. Well, I have not driven a rideshare, thankfully, because the stories sound scary sometimes. I read some scary ones on the Nashville Girls group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a lot of those too. But
did you?
Just weirdos, just creepy men. There was one guy that kept asking me on a date. He was drunk, and I kept saying no. And he's like, come on, I just want to take you out for pizza and wipe the grease off your face with my napkin for you.
Oh my gosh. What an offer.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my best one, it wasn't good at the time, but it's my best story now. I did not enjoy it when it was happening, but people think it's hilarious when I tell them now. I had one dude I picked up from Broadway, and anyone who's been to Nashville on Broadway, it's a shit show.
It's like craziness all day.
It's like Bourbon Street now. Mm-hmm. It's turning into. And I never went past 11 or 12 at night for this reason. So it was dark. So it must have been 8 or 9 or 10, like right before I was ending for the night. Mm-hmm. I picked this dude up on Broadway, and he's teeny tiny. He looks like he's 12. Like, I'm seriously confused as to how this kid was in a bar, because he looked like a kid. He gets in my front seat, and he goes, oh my gosh, I just can't believe this is happening. And I say, where are you from? And he says, Boston. And I say, oh, they don't have bars like this in Boston? And he says, no, we don't have hot rideshare drivers like this in Boston. And I'm like, shit, this dude's drunk. Luckily, he was staying at that Holiday Inn by Vanderbilt next to the stadium, so it wasn't far.
Right.
But of course, with my luck, we hit every fucking red light on the way there. And I'm like, I just want this dude out of my car. So he keeps saying the whole way there, I just want to fuck you. Like, can I fuck you?
Oh, God.
Can I please fuck you?
No.
And I'm like, no, this is not that kind of ride. That's not what I'm here for. And he keeps going, please, like, I just want to go back to Boston and tell all my friends I fucked my hot driver. Like,
ew.
please let me fuck you. And I'm like, no. And he pulls out his wallet, and he's pulling out 20s, and he's going, how much? How much? How much do you charge? We can go to an ATM and get more. How much? How much do you cost?
Like, have you never been in a rideshare before, sir? It's not a prostitution ring.
Exactly. I said something to that extent. I was like, I'm not a prostitute. I'm just your driver.
Ugh.
And so finally getting back to his hotel, and he gets out of my car, and he couldn't get out of the car. He was so drunk. He couldn't get the seatbelt undone. And I'm not about to reach over and touch the dude and help him. Like,
right.
I didn't want him to, I was afraid he'd take that the wrong way.
Probably.
But I'm like, get out of my car. And he finally gets out, and then he comes running back and knocks on my window. And I'm thinking he left his wallet or he left his cell phone. I don't want to have to come back and deal with this guy again. So I crack the window an inch or half an inch. And I'm like, what? Very rudely. At this point, I'm so irritated with this dude. And he's like, if you change your mind, I'm room 203. And I sped off, gave him 1 star. I was so mad.
Oh my gosh.
It was very uncomfortable, but it's funny now, but it was not at the time. Yeah. So I had some crazy experiences as a driver. Had a lot of bachelorettes and brides that had a bride and her maid of honor get in a fight in my back seat.
Ooh.
Thought they were going to throw punches because the bride wanted to go home with a dude she'd met at the bar.
Oh gosh.
And the bridesmaid was like, no, you're getting married. You can't do that.
Right.
And the bride's like, I'm the bride. This is my bachelorette party. This is why we came here. I'll do what I want. It's my party. And the maid of honor's going, no, you're getting married. You can't do that. Being a good maid of honor.
Right.
And this bride was just adamant. She's like, I'm going home with this guy. It's my last hurrah. I can do what I want. It's my party. And they were screaming at each other in my backseat.
It's like you had a live episode of Bridezillas in your car. I'm jealous.
Oh, I've had brides cuss me out because I wouldn't let them bring an open container in my car. And they're like, but it's my bachelorette party. And I'm like, but I'm not getting the fine for you, bitch. So, yeah. Oh, crazy. I overheard brides saying they didn't actually want to marry the groom.
Oh, no.
Yep. I heard lots of that. The parents talked them into it, or it was time, or their clock was ticking. They wanted kids, or they couldn't buy a house alone. They needed his money. Overheard a lot of brides that did not want to marry the groom.
That's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you want me to tell you a happy story I had before we get Jim on the line?
Yeah, definitely.
So our listeners don't think all rideshare stories are bad.
Yeah, definitely. Tell a good story.
Yeah. So my dog, Hepburn, is a therapy dog. I take him to schools to read to kids and nursing homes and stuff. So the day he passed his therapy dog test, I was so fucking excited and happy because we spent years going through classes. He kept failing. We kept trying again.
Oh, poor Hepburn.
I spent hundreds of dollars. Like this was a long journey. So he finally passed and I was so excited. So that later that night, I'm going out to do my driving and I pick up this girl and her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl had just moved to Nashville. The mom was here helping her move into her apartment and they were from Arkansas. And so I'm taking them to dinner and they asked me how I'm doing, how my day was. And I was so excited. I shared with them. I said, well, ladies, I'm so excited. My dog passed his therapy test today. He's finally a certified therapy dog, yada, yada. Well, the mom goes, oh my gosh, that is amazing. She said, I'm a special ed teacher in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And we have 2 golden retrievers that come to sit with our kids once a week. And she said, we had a child that his mom was one of our volunteers, always coming in, helping with the kids. And we threw a luncheon at the end of the school year to thank all of our parent volunteers. And she was our volunteer of the year. We gave her a goodie basket. Well, on her way home from that luncheon, she was hit. She was T-boned by a semi-truck and killed on her way home, the mom. And so the little boy, he was out of school for a while for the funeral and the grieving and everything. Well, the day he came back to class for the first time since his mom had passed, it just happened to be the day the therapy dogs were coming.
Right.
And she said one of the therapy dogs just knew something was wrong with that boy and sat next to his wheelchair the entire day and didn't leave his side. And she said the little boy just pet that dog all day long and kept saying, my mom's not coming back. My mom's not coming back. I'm going to cry telling this story.
Yeah.
And she said that dog just knew it knew something was wrong and didn't leave his wheelchair all day, stayed with him.
They're the sweetest. They know.
And so we're all three crying in the car as I'm dropping them off at the restaurant. Aww. We're just like, they're the best medicine.
They are.
For situations like that.
Animals are so sweet. They have such kind hearts and that intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. So also had a lady, and it was also her daughter. They were in town visiting, and they were scrolling through their Instagram while they were in my back seat. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, look at the pictures from the shower. And so they're talking, and they shared it with me, and they were telling me, they're like, Amanda, we have a friend back at home who lost her baby a year ago. And today would have been the child's first birthday. So to honor the child, she threw a shower and had all of her friends come and bring diapers to donate to moms in need.
Oh, that's sweet.
And they were showing me pictures on Instagram from the shower, and they'd filled up this woman's entire downstairs with diapers to donate. And so it's like, what a great way to turn a tragedy into something great.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So not all rideshare stories are bad.
Right.
You also meet some amazing people and hear some amazing stories that remind you there is good in the world.
Good. And the better side of humanity.
The better side.
It's always good to remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are going to take our first caller, Jim. Hey, guys. We've got Jim from Pennsylvania on the line.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for calling.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So you've got some rideshare stories for us?
Yes, I have a few, but they're more of for the novice or never have used the rideshare type service yet. I might be able to shed a little light and information for those people.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Excellent. Well, our first experience with it from my wife and I, actually, she went down to Houston for a wedding, and a bunch of her friends were also there, and none of them knew the city, so they were kind of at a loss as to how to go out and get some authentic margaritas and tacos and whatnot. So I guess one of the people that was in the wedding party, they suggested a rideshare app, and one of them loaded it. And next thing you know, $10 later, and they were at a restaurant, and all of them could have margaritas, and all of them could enjoy themselves without the stress of trying to make their way through a city they didn't know.
Right. Yeah. It's like magic.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody got to enjoy themselves, and then nobody had to stress about, okay, how do we get back to the hotels, and how do we, then one person can't have a margarita. Right. And so they all had a really good time, and she was very impressed. And up to that point, I had never used it. Where I live, it's not really anything that's needed. So she was very impressed, very impressed.
Oh, that's great. Don't have to worry about the DD.
Exactly. Yes. And for that little bit of money, just the peace of mind alone of being able to enjoy yourself, and not even with just the drinking, just not having the stress of trying to find your way through a city, not knowing where you're going in a rental car.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
parking.
So that, exactly. Well, and that leads me to then when I first used it, I went out of town to another city and to a sporting event. So I'm in a hotel and in a city I don't know. And my options are I can drive and be stressed out and then probably pay $20 to park and then worry about, okay, I probably shouldn't have a beer. Oh. And then I loaded this app on my phone, and then I think it was $10 to get basically right to the stadium. And then you also then don't have to fight your way out of the parking lot. I walked about a block to the stadium, and they came, picked me right up, and I was able to have a few beers, and I was very relaxed. It was really about some of the best money spent. Figuring you're spending $10 for a beer, I spent $10 for peace of mind to get there, and then $10 to get home, which is what I would have spent just for the parking.
Yeah. Right. That's true. I mean, it really is worth the peace of mind, especially here in Nashville. I mean, for us to get to the heart of downtown, it's like maybe $5.
Yeah.
It also saves us on $30 to $40 in parking
Yeah.
and all the other mess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And it also saves time, just from the fact that, well, if you're not from that city, I probably would have got lost, got turned around.
True.
I probably would have been late to the game. Plus, trying to get out your way in, sometimes you're held up in lines to get into a parking lot.
Right. And the drivers
So they could just drop you off.
And the drivers generally know exactly where to take you, which is perfect.
Exactly.
So.
Correct. So I guess I have one last story.
Yeah.
Is we then started using it down in Disney World, going from park to park.
Oh.
There are 3 of the 4 parks have really good rideshare pickup and drop off locations very close to the entrances, and that's Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. And if you are if you miss some of the Disney transportation, or you're looking to get from a park to a park in a pretty quick manner, the cost is very reasonable, and because they're technically pretty close together, and I think it was less than $10 just to go from park to a park. So we did that, and that saved us a lot of time and money, because if you want to go from park to park, for the most part, you have to take a bus to a resort, then a bus from the resort to another park, and that could take you an extra hour to do all that. So down in Disney, time is obviously money.
Right.
Now there is, with the new Skyliner, that then adds another possible way of transporting from. You can technically go from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, and I think that's only a 20-minute ride. I think that's what I saw online, but that's another possibility. But anyway, the ride share, like if it seems to be down, or people are afraid of heights, the ride share is really good. Now, in addition to that, Magic Kingdom, the ride share drop off and pickup spot is actually pretty far away from the entrance. So Disney has their own service, and it's called a mini van, as in Minnie Mouse.
Oh,
that's adorable.
That's really cute.
And the vans are colored accordingly. They're red with the polka dots, and it's very, very cute. Now, that will drop you right off, basically where the buses drop you off, right in front of Magic Kingdom. Now, you will pay a little more of a premium for that. I think that probably starts at about $30, but I think it fits up to 5. And I know they have car seats. I've never taken one myself, but for people who want to either splurge or get right over to Magic Kingdom, and they kind of have to in a hurry, that is definitely a cute way to do it.
Yeah. And if you got 3 or 4 kids with you, it's worth the $30 right there.
Right.
Just
exactly.
not have to walk through a crazy busy parking lot with kids.
Right. Thanks for that tip.
Right.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Right. So from a 50-year-old guy who really had never used this service up until about a year ago, it really, if anyone is wondering if they should use it or not, or want to try it, it is really worth every penny, just for the peace of mind, and if you're going to have a few drinks, and just and simple and secure.
It's so
and
simple.
it just hits all of the safety issues, and it really is. If anybody wants to try it, I highly recommend it.
Very true. Thank you, Jim.
That's a lot of good tips in there.
I know, it's great. It's a good balance, because we kind of started off with some crazy stories, but then some happy stories.
Yeah.
But it's nice to also just remember how lucky we are to have it.
I know. I wish rideshare had been around when I was in college.
Right?
That would have made things a lot easier. Because like you said, someone always had to stay sober to drive us home. And it was like you had to decide.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Or trying to get a taxi was a nightmare.
Yeah. Taxis were not fun to deal with.
Right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Jim.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. You have a great night.
Thank you. You have a great night too. Take care.
All right, bye.
Okay, guys. And next we have Adam from Nashville on the line. He's going to share with us a rideshare experience he had.
We have Adam on the line. Hey, Adam.
Hey, how are you all?
Good. How are you?
Good. Congrats on the podcast.
Thank you. We're so excited.
Thank you. Thanks for calling
What's
in.
happening? Yeah, so we're talking about funny ride shares, or memorable ones.
Yeah.
Whatever you got. Just tell us a story.
Tell us about yours.
Well, the one that comes to mind, you don't remember a lot of ride shares because you're usually, if you need a ride share, you're drinking. But this night was no different. This night was no different, but I do remember it because we got in. This was me and my ex at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were leaving a 9 Inch Nails concert last year in Nashville.
Ooh.
And it was a good show. And then we got in the ride share and in the back seat, and this pit bull turns its head around and it's glaring at us from the front seat.
What?
A pit bull, like a live dog?
Yeah.
Like a real dog?
A live dog just staring at us. And, I'm all about, I'm not against pit bulls, but you do hear some scary stories about pit bulls sometimes.
Right.
So the pit bull all of a sudden jumps in the back seat and hops all over us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be one of those stories of man gets killed in the ride share from the pit bull. So it's jumping all over us. I'm like, this is it. It's going to eat our face off. And it just starts licking all over us, kissing all over us. And it ends up being fine. But it's very aggressive, but in a good, loving way. We were drunk, so it was fine. But can you imagine somebody who's like really terrified of dogs getting in the ride share and then a pit bull hopping all over you?
Yeah. That would scare some people.
Right.
Yeah. So it was good. I mean, it had one of those things around its neck. So it's like an emotional support for the driver. But I still don't think that you would be allowed to have a pit bull like unannounced in the ride share.
Right.
What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I know some people are terrified of dogs. There's a little girl in my building who she won't even ride the elevator with my 10-pound dog. Like, she's so scared.
Right.
And he's never been aggressive towards her.
Yeah, and this is a pit bull, and it's really big and heavy, and just jumping all over your face.
You would think you'd get a notification, like your driver has an emotional support dog.
Right.
Just FYI.
Right. No, there was no warning. No, like, hey, my dog's in here. It was just all of a sudden there, and it jumped in the back with us, and it didn't even faze the driver.
It was a gentle giant.
We just made the most. Yeah, we made the most of it. It was a happy ending, not the ex that I was with.
No happy ending there.
I wish the dog would have attacked, actually. Kidding.
Just kidding. Not really.
I didn't say that.
It reminds me of that scene in Talladega Nights with the cougar in the back of the car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I haven't seen that. You need to send that to me.
I will send it to you. It is a hilarious movie. It's a classic.
Send that to me. Put a link to the YouTube clip on in the description of the podcast.
Okay.
however that works.
We'll figure it out.
Or you could do Cujo. You could do Cujo.
Cujo. Aww.
Have you guys seen that? Oh my God.
Yeah, Cujo is intense.
Yeah. I watched that as a kid, and it was very scary.
Me too. I feel like I was allowed to watch a lot as a kid that
oh
a
my
lot of kids
God,
shouldn't
that's so
watch.
traumatic. Maybe that's why your neighbor girl is scared to death of dogs. Maybe she watched Cujo. Because I feel like everyone says they watched Cujo as a child, and that is very traumatic for a child. I watched it as a child too.
Yeah.
It's pretty traumatic. But no, I know a lot of people who are terrified, so it's good that the dog was very nice. And, it just wasn't like a squeamish person who was terrified of pit bulls.
Right.
that could have ended badly. But I think she probably got 5 stars if I remembered to. If I remembered that night. Or you know what? I never usually remember, but I do the next day. I give 5 stars the next day in my tip.
Aw, well, that's sweet.
So I'm sure she got an excellent rating and a good tip because her dog was loving, and it was fun. We had black t-shirts and black pants on because we had been at the rock concert, so we were just covered in hair. Our clothes were totally covered in dog hair, but it was a good thing it was after the concert, not before. Actually, she wouldn't have gotten a good rating if it was before because we were absolutely covered.
True. I
understand. After. I would love to.
And I wasn't as tipsy, so I would have been probably actually terrified. You know, I had liquid courage, so
that would be like my version of heaven. Getting into a rideshare drunk and there's an adorable dog.
Oh,
I would love that.
Right?
I would too.
I would tip her extra.
Right.
Right. You know what? That should be a service that you provide. Rides with heparin.
Yes.
I bet people would actually pay good money for that. Actually, they could be like a new form of therapy. You know that they are doing
therapy
like
dog
cuddling.
rideshare.
Yeah, actually that's a good idea. They're doing the cuddling thing. Like my cousin in LA is a professional cuddler.
What? That's a
Can
thing?
you believe that?
Huh.
Yeah, it is a thing.
You go cuddle with people?
Never heard of that.
So yeah, she's a professional cuddler. I forget the name of the company that does it, but she is always posting about the benefits of cuddling with like a stranger you don't know, and it's not a sexual thing. She's not a sex worker. Nothing against that, but she's not, and she's just a professional cuddler.
That's
interesting.
Cool.
I know.
What if it's some
like
creepy dude that gets a hard on while you're cuddling?
I feel like that has to happen sometimes.
I'm sure.
I don't know. I haven't talked to her much about it. She posts about it on Facebook and things, and I'm like, well, that's cool that she's doing that. And it's cool that she's like, brave enough to post that she's doing it. It's like it kind of takes the stigma away of something like such an odd, unusual new type of business to be in.
True.
Yeah. Send me more info on that.
Pretty cool.
I'm always looking for a side hustle.
Yeah.
Amanda
I don't
the
know
Cuddler.
if it's just an LA thing or if it's big everywhere yet, but I think it's pretty cool.
Man, she might have some good stories for the podcast.
I bet she does. That should be your next episode. Funny stories while cuddling. Ooh. But I don't feel like enough people do it yet to make it as popular as the rideshare episode.
A little obscure
give
now.
Give it a little time, and it can be your episode in season 2.
Hey, maybe this episode will bring the awareness to people.
Cuddle awareness.
Cuddle awareness.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. We love you.
Thank you so
and we're
much.
so glad you came on.
Thanks for having me.
I
will talk to you all soon. I'm going to go watch that Talladega Nights clip.
Okay. You need to.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, so that's all for tonight. There were some crazy stories, some happy ones, and some that were useful regarding ride sharing. But overall, I think we can all agree that ride sharing is extremely useful.
Very, very. Yeah. Much better than taxis.
Right. Lots of benefits to it. And it's affordable. So we appreciate you, rideshare companies. So we would like to thank Mary Beth, Jim, Adam, and we'd like to thank Blake for your question. And if you enjoy our podcast, please leave us a review and share with your friends.
And as usual, if you ever want to be on an episode, we would love to feature you. You can DM us on our social media. You can email us at twogirlslistening@gmail.com. That's with the number 2. And you can call us or text us at 615-669-9337. We would love to feature you on a future episode. And also, huge thanks to Matthew Cox, our sound engineer, and Kashi and JMO for our music. Don't go through life alone. We're here to listen.